during what she's given as examples. So the other example she gave was going and doing primary research, and how she found that quite daunting to start with, but in actual fact by then using the reflective model, which is a different model, and it's great if you can use a different model for each of your approaches. Now, she's used the STAR technique to apply her second competence of communication. The STAR technique isn't really a reflective model, but nonetheless, she demonstrated that she knew how to do the reflection, even though the tool wasn't exactly a reflective model. This is a tool. STAR stands for situation, it's an acronym: situation, T for task, A for action, and R for result, and learning. But it's used more for interview technique rather than for reflection. So I wouldn't use the STAR technique, I would use Kolb, Gibbs, Borton, or you could use Driscoll, you could use Johns, you could use Moon, you could use any other model that you want to, but STAR is a bit limited, so I wouldn't use that one. So she's again spoken about what she's used for evidence, so where she's got the photos of her talking to people and gathering her primary data. She was using that as a situation. The task was to fulfill the brief, asking questions to perform for the assignment, then the action of what she did, and the result. So you can see that the STAR technique is not the best model to use, so please don't copy this and think that that's all you have to do. I would not recommend using STAR for part 2 of your assignment. I don't think it works particularly well. But what she did get credit for was that she reflected back on what happened and what she would do if she were to repeat this activity, what she would do if she did it again. So it did demonstrate some good surface learning. There could have been deeper analysis of that. But what she did then do was to say about how important what she's learned was in relation to communication for managers, and what the pitfalls could be, what the limitations might be of that not going well and needing to have some further development. So that was very good for what she did there. Then her third competence, let's just scroll on a little bit here to move it on, was problem solving. And again, she gave herself a 4 out of 10 last year. She gave herself a 4 because she was unable to find much in terms of evidence. So what she did do is bring in her Graduate Plus certificate at bronze level. And now what she's doing is about how she was able to use this doing the other levels of the Graduate Plus awards. And so this was something else where she was dealing with a conflict in a difficult situation. So again, she's got the reference look on the bottom, which is demonstration of wider reading, because we have not cited Marx, Briegel, and Clevinger 2011 in the reading list, so she got extra credit for that. So then she applies this using, let's see what she used. Again, she's applying this to context. Gibbs, that's what she used. So she used the 6 stages of the Gibbs model, and she uses a circumstance from work when she was at Boots, and a customer situation where there was a discrepancy with the payment. So she went into a bit more detail about what happened, what she learned, and then she went through the process of critically evaluating what that means for her, but also if she becomes a future manager, what that would mean for her team. How would she support them in solving their own problems rather than having to come and rely on asking her permission or authority or answering questions for them, rather than them being able to demonstrate their own initiative. And in actual fact, how important that is to freeing up the time of the manager to enable the performance to improve and the customer to feel that they are being supported much more clearly, much more quickly, without the need of a manager to intervene. So that was excellent as well. Then she moves on to part 3, which is her PDP. So she has 2 sides of this. She has 2 slides within this section. So she's got her professional development plan and then her action plan as well. So each of the 3.
Okay, let's make a break after the second part as well, just to wrap it up. So, what was amazing about her second part? Just to conclude that you got the message.
Using reflective models.
Reflective models, yeah. In her case, she used 3 different ones. However, you can use the same for all of them, yeah. But the idea is to use a reflective model in assessing your competencies. What else?
She used references to back up each competency.
References, yeah, support, yeah. What else?
References that weren't in the reading list.
Sorry?
References that weren't in the reading list that should like straight in.
So references, yes, in the reading list or outside the reading list as well, of course, yeah. What else? Besides references and the reflective model. The rating, don't forget the rating, yeah. To rate your competence out of 10. And you can use either the skills that you used in your assignment from last year in the management development or new one, it's up to you. But it's useful to have this time frame, let's say, yeah, in order to show how you evolved. So rating, yeah, rating your competence, it's useful. And what else? Evidence, supporting with evidence, yeah. If you've done the grad class or I don't know, whatever reference you have from work or from any volunteering experience or from whatever personal experience that you can, or even experience in the classroom, yeah, whatever you think you can bring as an evidence, it's useful to use it, yeah. Please, John, yeah, want to ask something?
I have a question.
Please, yeah.
What would be the best way to showcase the evidence if you don't have a picture?
If there is no picture,
Yeah.
how to show an evidence without a picture?
Yeah, because she used the pictures to show evidence and to back it up.
Yeah,
So
exactly. In all the models that we've seen, actually, in all the examples, all of them used pictures
Yeah,
of
but,
something.
yeah, but what about if you don't have a picture?
Can you give me an example of a particular skill or something that you don't have a picture of?
Let's say, for example, teamwork. You don't have picture for your team or something like that.
I would just do like a Google image. Why have I lost my voice? Like of a team of Google images. I would like a cartoon or something like symbols.
Yeah, but it would be useful if it's more personalized than something
Okay.
on Google because it's about you. That's the thing. The second part
Have to go to
is
next.
about you. The first part is in theory, but the second part is about you. So about your development on this. You know, if you haven't worked in team, why would you pick teamwork?
I've worked in team, but I don't have picture of them.
Okay. How about I don't know, any letter of reference, any email? Like for example, in the last competence, problem solving, she showed a print screen with an answer that she gave on the Grad Plus task. So it can be even a print screen of something that you've done on the computer.
Find some photos.
You understand what I mean? Because it's about you, so it has to reflect your development. Yeah? So, okay, you can take something from Google, but then it's not relevant. Yeah, because it's not about you. It has to be about you somehow, in a way or another. So you want to use teamwork and you don't have any photo?
Nah.
You can just take a selfie at work, you know? Until January, you still have a month and a half to. If you don't have any photo with your colleagues, or I don't know, just the. Do you remember last week? I think we watched the example of Joshua, and he put a photo with himself in his working gear. Do you remember that one? He was working at Asda, and he just asked a colleague to take him a photo in his working gear. It was like, you know, smiling in a
Have you got a
very-
work lanyard? You got a work lanyard or a badge? Take a photo.
Just in the meantime.
Take a photo.
And an example can be even, do you remember in our first weeks we worked on what success is as a manager, and we did those flip chart papers, and I asked you to take photos of them? That's a teamwork example. I don't know if you still have the photos, but do you remember what the activity I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an example, you know, and if you're thinking about similar situations, I'm sure you'll find for your competencies similar stuff. Yeah? Similar proofs. Is this making sense, John?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Any other question about the second part? So to wrap up, reflective model, yeah? References, strong references for supporting whatever she's supporting, including for the reflective models. Grading, yeah, rating your competencies, and examples, yeah, support for your competencies, photos, print screens, certificates, letters, whatever, okay? And again, a lot of detail for grader, for bigger marks, okay? Going beyond the surface. Okay, let's see now her third part. The personal development plan.
Part 3, which is her PDP. So she has two sides of this. She has two slides within this section. So she's got her professional development plan and then her action plan as well. So each of the 3 competencies that she's used, so teamwork, communication and problem solving, those are the what. So that was excellent. So that it clearly flows from the personal audit, which is part 2, into the action plan. Now she's put quite a lot of information in here in full sentences, so she could have put this more in bullet points and spoken more verbally rather than all of these words in here, but nonetheless she's included the detail, so it's been very good because she's got clear, smart goals, she's got has it been achieved, and this is the plan that was the first part, and actually the action plan as to what happens next is the second page of this. So what she has been able to do in the previous slide was to say how much of that has already been achieved, what has been reviewed and achieved, and what now needs to be done. So the measures achieved, yes or no. I would like to see more specific about, well, how will we know when that's been achieved? Which she's done to a certain extent in these other boxes, but I think we can be slightly more clear and slightly less words, slightly fewer words. But nonetheless, it gives lots of detail there for each of the 3 competencies. What you can also do as well is put your current score out of 10 against each of those and say what your target is. So if teamwork is a 7 now, is it an 8 that you're aiming for, or a 9 or a 10? What is it that this particular activity is going to enable you to achieve? So that is part 3. So several people have said, do I need to spend a lot of time in part 3? No. But what we need to be able to do is for you to clearly analyse what are the implications of you not achieving those goals. And look as well from a management point of view. All the way through this, we're trying to get you to demonstrate that you understand how all of the things in each of the sections affect, potentially, the effectiveness of a manager. So as well as your own development, think about how you are going to, in the future, or maybe you're already doing it, if you've got a team leader, supervisor or a line manager responsibility, how is it that you encourage others to plan for their action plans as well as your own? Okay. So then we move to...
Okay, wrapping up part 3. What did you notice here? In her part 3, what was good about it?
It needs to be like very specific. and like show exactly how you're going to measure it, like really put in the detail about each goal.
Yeah, so very detailed PDP. You can either use it as a whole picture for all the 3 competencies, or you can use one slide for each of them. That's up to you. You've seen examples also last week with one single line per slide. So there were 3 slides for each of these competencies. It's up to you. However, she chose to make 2, yeah? One for what has been achieved already and another one for what is to be achieved. However, in the previous week, we saw also that the other students used a more precise target to measure it, yeah? In terms of a SMART goal, the last T, yeah, which is for timely, they put a specific date. That's more desirable, but nevertheless, her example was good because she was very detailed, okay? It would have been easier to read if there were less details on the slides, more bullet points, and more details in her presentation. However, you know, that's also fine, and she's giving also enough details in her presentation as well, yeah, quite speaking. So, yeah, concise and answering to questions. Is that, do you have any question about part 3, about the personal development plan? Okay, so let's go to part 4 now.
Part 4. So what she does here, and again, this could be even better. She has provided all of these different aspects to her 1-minute clip of how she has learned in her research in this module. What is it that she has done to reflect on this module for what she has now realised what she is now doing? I'm not quite sure that this has the impact that it could do. You may find this appealing as a slide. I think it could be better presented, but nonetheless, she has clearly rehearsed and is very slick with her presentation of the words that she's using for demonstrating the application of this to her own learning, but also what it is that she is now working on to improve even more. And therefore, what makes her more employable, and what is it that she has achieved, and what is it that she's now working on, so that that employer can see how she would fit in very well to their objectives as well. So that's the 1-minute clip. Then we get to the end and we are looking at the references list. So let me just show you an example of a very good references list. You can have this before or after your 1-minute clip. Sometimes it's better to have it before so you don't forget to put it in, but make sure that it's in. So she's got 2 pages of very good reading material. She's got a range of dates, she's got a range of different sources. Majority of them are peer-reviewed journal articles, and that's where she gets the additional marks, because it's so important to have a range of materials from which to draw your argument. So she's got everything from Computers and Education to the British Journal of Community Nursing, Journal of Manufacturing Technology Management, when she was talking about